So, first thing we need to talk about is what qualifies as breaking news and how often we send breaking news alerts. And I'm going to kind of talk generally right now about breaking news alerts and mean both email and text messaging. And so, one thing that we need to do that sometimes we don't always follow up on is that at the beginning and the conclusion of this story or event that we have. So if we say Main Avenue is closed throughout town because there's a crazy police chase and watch out, stay off Main, and then Main gets opened an hour later, we need to make sure that we follow up with the news that Main is open again. We're pretty good about that, but every now and then one slips through the cracks. So that is the biggest thing for that. I keep saying for some reason. The second thing that we probably should discuss as a group, I think, is when we send breaking news email alerts. Because of the delay time that we seem to not be able to quite get fixed. Oftentimes, like Stu did one the other day, or maybe it was you.
Yeah, by the time the first one arrived saying the road was closed, the road was open, like it's 20
And was that
minutes or 30
because-
minutes.
And was that because it took so long?
Yeah.
Or we were just slow to send it out and then the
Yeah,
delay,
It took about 25 minutes to send, maybe?
Yeah. The event was over by the time that people were receiving the email saying the road was closed.
Does everybody feel like they're confident in their news judgment on what qualifies as breaking news? Or should we discuss some things?
I do have a question about, sometimes it seems like a road closure might be so brief, at least with the email that, this came up. But, I know we don't want to wait, but at the same time, if it seems like it might be closed for 10 or 15 minutes, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the problem is, if it's 10 or 15 minutes and we have a feeling or are pretty confident that that's it, then no, it seems, it's not worth going through. But if it's going to be longer, of course, we want to send something out. That's the hard part. We just don't know. It's going to be kind of a judgment call each time with the with the news.
Right, sure, just right.
But yeah, it's true. 10 minutes is not worth, 15 minutes, and unless it's, I don't know, maybe, not even 10 minutes. Like I was thinking, like the busy intersection at 5 o'clock, or
Yeah.
the intersection at 55160 at 5 o'clock, or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to kind of be I think it's whoever the breaking news editor is going to be the person who's working on that news and having the most information, working with the reporter enough to make that call.
Sure, and have the best sense of how many people this is going to affect over how much time.
Right.
And I think
it does or doesn't qualify.
it's like a lot of things we've talked about where 9 times out of 10, if if Amy comes the next day and says, David, why didn't you send a text alert about Red Mountain Pass being closed? And you say, well, it was 8 o'clock at night, there's not a lot of people on the road, I thought it was going to be open in 5 minutes. Again, as long as you can kind of walk through your thought process and you thought about it and didn't just screw off or forget to send it or whatever, I think, we'll all play armchair quarterback the next day, but we can, feel confident that you thought about our users. So.
One other thing, just since we're talking about this, if you don't mind. We were sending text alerts about the Fort Lewis College basketball league, which I guess that surprised me. I'm like,
well, we're not.
When they won and lost their playoff games in the regional round, and I just didn't know that was something we did.
Well, we're not changing. We're not keeping that kind of breaking news email and text messages strictly to road closures or accidents or Something, I mean, when it's a really big event, when it's something huge like that, that we know there's a community interest, there were all these watch parties downtown.
Right.
People were, wanting to know if they're going to advance, then yes, we want to expand to beyond just that.
And that said, I do kind of monitor those, like, before and after, and I get emails about them, like, who's unsubscribed, and so I do kind of keep an eye on that a little bit, just anecdotally,
Yeah.
to see how we're doing. So, like, last month, it's the first month we've gone down, I think, in text alerts since I've been here, and we only went down 5, so that's a pretty normal
And
fluctuation.
news like that, that's something we know in advance, that, and we can talk about that at the news meeting, like, okay, this is really big deal.
Right.
Whoever's working when this goes on will send out a text and an email.
Right.
That soccer coach being named that I got kind of hoodwinked on, not breaking news alert, the new soccer coach of it. FL, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we have to think about what we think is news and what the community think is news. And the whole soccer coach thing was a big deal to sports. Does the general public at large know that? Not really. I mean, this isn't, we're not Chelsea Football Club or something.
Right.
If only.
I don't know why I pulled that one out. The Denver Broncos or something.
Manchester United.
Manchester, yeah. So that's really a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
And I mean, and a lot of those cases could go either way, like Denver Broncos winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Are
that's
people
the
looking
thing.
to us to send a text alert about that? Probably not. Are we gonna annoy them if we send a text alert about it? Probably not.
That said, I mean, they'd already heard it.
Yeah.
People who really gave two hoots and hell were watching the game. For us to send a text alert, and we did send one, and that was because, honestly, frankly, Doug was texting me personally and saying, why aren't we doing this? So, we don't want to be abusive, because we will start losing subscribers. People will get annoyed with us. We have to, stay in our lane. We are a source of local news. Putting national news out there is really not something we want to start. At least putting it out there, and by putting it out there, I mean sending breaking news emails or texts. That's really not something that we want to start engaging in on that level.
And I think
We know how people consume our news, and it's not national and world news.
Right.
And I think everybody in here knows when they're sending stuff to you, an email's a little less invasive than a text message. A text
And
message
we don't
is a
always
little
have to
bit.
send both. We can choose the medium too. Say we're hemming and hawing about it, well, I don't know, is it a big deal? Then if it is, then I would say, well, let's just send an email, and let's not send a text.
Right.
So it's not one or the other.
Right.
Like I think for the Super Bowl, I sent a text, but I did not send an email. Because by the time they'll email, I mean, that just makes us look dumb. They get it 30 minutes later, and they're like, no shit, Sherlock.
Right, or the next morning.
Plus, they're drunk by then, and they're not
I
gonna.
got it.
And think about things that can drive traffic too, this motorcycle chase. Did we know about it when it was going on?
It was pretty quick. I mean, we heard about it and it crashed.
So that's the kind of thing where maybe an email alert, like, motorcycle chase crash, and, I'm not saying this is a perfect example, but motorcycle crash at wherever it was. If it's a major area, sometimes it's about getting the news out there, sometimes it's also about an easy way to drive traffic to our site to see what happened. So email alerts can be sent anytime because, like I was saying, they are not invasive, because most people don't have email set up to make noises on their phone, although some of them do.
Even after 9?
Email's fine. Text alerts are what you're thinking about, not after 9. Or before 7.
9 p.m. to 8 a.m. is off limits.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was 7.
What is it? I'm sorry.
9 p.m.
9 p.m.?
to 8 a.m.
All right, right.
And is that a Colorado rule or is that a Herald rule?
I think, no,
FCC.
it's an FCC. It's
Oh,
federal
God, I've
rule.
never had that anywhere. That's scary.
Yeah, no, it's not a Herald rule.
Breaking the rules.
I mean, I think we would break it for something like the fire is bearing down on Durango West 2, and all 300 houses are gonna get wiped out in 20 minutes. Get out. We would break that rule.
So speaking of that, just because I am new here, and I don't know if it bears talking about for the rest of you, but fire, like, do we send every fire as a break? I mean, in South Dakota, we have a ton of fires, and some are little, some are big, some are little, and then become big without, you know, in a heartbeat because of wind. Where is our kind of rule for fire stuff here?
Well,
We have a lot of fires that are pretty rural. and
Yeah.
They're not ever going to
Do
threaten any
anything.
structures or anything.
it's really going to be driven by their threat to life.
Okay. All right. So we are gonna walk through how to send email alerts. And I'm not logged in, sorry to say.
We don't have push notifications, right? That would be different than text.
No, we
message.
don't have an app at this time. Hopefully that will change. We have the mobile site that looks kind of like a fake app, but it's not actually an app. And so you can only do the push alerts on mobile apps. We did those at my previous site, and oddly, people found them more invasive than text alerts. Anecdotally, I think because you kind of forget that you opted in on them. And then
Yeah, I know.
figuring
All
out how to
that
opt
doing.
out is kind of a pain in the ass, and you know you have to do it instead of emailing media@herald.com or whatever. And
Go to editorial menu, go to new newsletter. Click that. From select template, you're going to select Durango Herald News Alert. Then underneath where it says, underneath story selection, go to date filter. You're going to select that and you want to say stories modified today. Because what you need to do is have the story linked. The story needs to be posted. You will select the story from the list. Generally, the most recent is at the top. Click those double arrows and it'll put it in the newsletter body. That becomes the link. In the newsletter title, you want to write on a title. Do not try not to repeat what the headline is because it just looks redundant. So put the newsletter title there. That's what will show up in the subject when the recipients get that. Have that scroll down. For receiver selection, you want to select breaking news group and then click the right arrows and that adds it to receivers. Scroll down again and send time and date. You want to select where it says or choose. Send now. And then when you go up and click save, that is sending it. It's not going to tell you it's sending. It's not going to give you any confirmation.
don't click save twice.
Every time you click save, it lines it up in the queue and it'll keep sending it and sending it. Unfortunately, it doesn't give you that confirmation or validation or whatever. So click send once. Now, so the way you can see if it actually went, after you've clicked save, go back to the editorial menu, scroll down to newsletters, filter it by date if you sent it that day, scroll to the very bottom, and it will tell you awaiting send time if it's
All right, here, it's doing it.
so we're not sending afternoon updates anymore, has been sent, there's 0, but it'll tell you it's awaiting send time, and then when it goes successfully, it will say has been sent. If you do hit send now more than once, and you come in here and you see it, one or more of them, go over here, select which one you want to delete, and then just go there and click delete, and that'll get rid of the duplicates.
Questions, comments? All right. These notes are on the Learning Center. They're actually, a lot of them are from Josh. So they're in there as separate items. You can search for what you're trying to send. So, breaking news text alerts. And Amy, as a sidebar, Trumpia wants to meet next Monday to offer us a better plan. I will loop you into that when they send me a media invite. I guess our contract's up. Oh man, really? Do you know the login off the top of your head?
It is,
All
the
com-
Durango
all- Herald.
and then, it's on here,
Oh, it's going.
DALLCOMM1NC.
All right.
Do you want me to walk you through this?
Yeah, I like
So once you get
this.
in here, you will go to Message, Send Messages,
You have to go to it twice.
go to do Send Message again. Description is not public facing, that is for us to see what we're sending the text alert about. But make it meaningful, don't just say Highway 160, crash, or make it meaningful so that if anybody else looks at it, they know. Then under Send Messages, select Normal Blast, and then select Text Messages, SMS and MMS. Underneath that, you want to select One-Time Message to Distribution List. Scroll down, so, click Select Template. No, I'm sorry, go back, you don't need to select template, it's the only one we have. Cancel that, so, scroll down and select Compose Message. Send Now will always be, it's the default selection. We really don't set anything to send later. Okay, so Durango Herald is what's in the header, so you basically just want to go to that text message and you want to put in your message and the shortened URL to the story if we are teasing to that. Most of the time we want to. There have been a time or two where I've just gotten the news out there. But make sure, you got to shorten that URL because we do have a limit of 160 characters. Anything over that may charge us per text message. So you want to make sure you stay within that 160.
I just, you want to remind people to not to use the cached page from
Right.
Saxo. You have to use the Durango Herald, www Durango Herald when you're shortening your link. Otherwise, it's a dead link.
And what I always do whenever I make a short URL is I always go and test it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've told you guys, but one time I sent all of our readers who were looking for a breaking news story for the Rapid City Journal to a story about Roger Federer on the New York Times.
Well, I did that, 2 months ago?
The NPR story.
So it happened, so test whenever you can, so.
So put in there, characters left, it'll tell you how many characters there are left, and just so you know, it does count this, so, and it counts your URL, so please pay attention to that so that we don't get charged. So once you're done,
Well, you can't say XXS apparently.
oh yeah,
It doesn't like that.
the FCC.
Did you guys see that? I had that warning
She
down
had
there.
triple X and it said you can't put that in your message.
No pornography over the public.
Then you would click Select Recipients. And then you want to select Durango Herald News. Click the right button and scroll down. Preview and send.
That's where I get sketchy about going much further. Oh my God, did I just send it? No.
No. Scroll.
Oh my God, I just
Scroll
sound
down,
like
so this
nervous.
is going to be what it looks like, road closed app with your bit.ly. This text stop to opt out is something they automatically put in there. So just always read that. Make sure, double, triple, whatever, check to make sure that it's spelled right. Select agree to terms, and then click send. And that's it. If anybody wants, I can show you how to do it on your phone. Otherwise, we can just do it this way.
All right. We are now going to transition to stories outside the paywall. I've never done this, but this is not something we want to do a lot, obviously, but it's really good to do it in times when, let's say there's an Amber Alert, or let's say there's missing people is a good one because it's a public service and we don't want people to not see who's missing because of our paywall. other things that are like real general public safety, like when Amy's saying if there's structures threatened, there's an evacuation notice, things that are really honestly matters of life and death, we want to make sure are outside the paywall so that people are not unable to see the information that we're trying to get out there for public service.
This is a call made only by me because of our paywall. We've only done this twice. The Weber fire, Weber fire? Weber?
Weber?
I don't remember what it
Michael?
was. Mancus and the Gold King spill.
And sometimes for those national things, you know, New York Times for some major national things will put down their paywall, or some people can do it for you. Anyway. So, Amy, do you want to walk us through this, or again? Or no?
Outside paywall?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. And then Saxo, right?
Yep, and media or something.
And that's just
Media
a
or
story designation. It doesn't put the whole site down from the paywall, just
We
a specific
can
story.
do the whole site.
Uh-huh.
We did with Weber, we did the whole site,
Yeah.
Weber and Gold King.
Okay.
That requires, I believe, Saxo intervention
That
to
would
take
make
that
sense.
down completely.
Uh-huh.
This, what we'll show you, is story only.
Story.
Can I go into your ethanol story?
So go to the properties, go to the web tab. Scroll up. Go to normal access control, drop down list, right there. And free, apply,